Happy New Year. It is January 1st, 2025. Ooh, ooh. And it's a little bit unusual. It's 17:37, 5:37 p.m. Let's do a context check-in. What's the context of Angèle at 5:37 on January 1st, 2025? Ooh, my last video was December 30th, 2024, and I had noticed after putting it all together. And then so much was left on. I felt like there needs to be a part two. There needs to be a part two. But now this this will be called crazy wise. Crazy in quotations. Truth not optimally perceived. Wise. Crazy wise. For a moment there, it was going to be crazy wise and wicked good. But actually, it's going to be crazy wise. And then I'm probably going to end this one and go right into a second one, which will be called wicked good. So here we are. Today, I'm going to go crazy wise, dealing with some of the things I'd picked out for my last video, which was called Reactions of a Wicked Good Life. Wicked Good Life. And so here I am. It turned out yesterday, December 31st, I thought, oh, I'm going to do a video, but no, I was not going to do a video. I had to recover from who knows what, like the context of December 30th left me a little bit overstimulated. And I basically laid on the couch yesterday for some hours, about 3, with zero input. No, nothing, no, not even music. I couldn't even listen to music. So anyway, it's like, oh, holy, that was like, whoa. I thought, okay, that happened, and let's just take a break. And I went to bed early. Oh, and the other thing too was with all the overstimulation of December 30th, I didn't get to sleep till 4:30 a.m. And then I think I woke up about 9 and I was like, ugh. So like, okay, ooh, not quite in my optimal state. There's no way I was making a video. I think I was going to run a bath and it's like the water came out and it looked all black silt. And I thought, well, that's kind of symbolic, isn't it? I'm like, what the frick is that? So as it was 1/3 full, I'm like, what? And then I cleaned the tub a second time because I thought, is the tub dirty? What the heck? And so then, no, it was the water was coming out with this fine black silt. And I'm like, well, I'm not bathing in that. So I didn't. And then I changed into my sweatpants and had a laze around day yesterday. So anyway, and then today, my son, Z, the youngest son who lives with me 1 week out of 2, he every Wednesday volunteers at Alberta Hospital, which is a mental health facility where they include that's the forensics unit is over there. It's kind of used to be sort of outside of town, but it's kind of in a really unique part of Edmonton, in northeast Edmonton. A lot of land has been, and I do remember that's how I kind of got connected, even more inspired by Mark Kanielski, who was really part of a whole movement to maintain sort of farmland within city limits. So we have this sort of farmland area. And I this summer was reminded of a favorite place to go pick Saskatoons is at Riverbend Gardens. And you go right past Alberta Hospital and there's all these farms. And so anyways, one of them allows for public to go pick. And then on the honor system, you just send an e-transfer they tell you this much costs that much. And then, so I think I picked, and it was very affordable too. I think I've picked about $80 worth of Saskatoons. And anyway, I picked a lot of Saskatoons and I love being out there. It just feels so good. So I did that in July. My girl Sharon came up from South Alberta specifically to pick Saskatoons because for some of the First Nations traditions, Saskatoons are part of it. They will often serve a Saskatoon berry soup after ceremony. So she wanted to supply and gift all these Saskatoons to the various communities that she's aware of who do ceremonies. So I thought, well, and I helped her. And some of it we did in South Edmonton in the woods. There's a very like Edmonton is kind of cool that they really take a chunk of a budget to make sure that the landscaping is nice. So there's this. It turns out Sharon and I share a friend who lives there, so she came to know there's so many Saskatoons, and it's in one of these giant walkways, and there's the really big electrical things. But anyways, that's such a tangent. Oh, so we picked some from the electrified Saskatoons, and I, in my own mind, thought they were less good than the ones I got at Riverbend Gardens. And my second major mentor, who I've been working with since April 2024, Kathleen, Quantum Kathleen, had said, I think you got it backwards, girl. And then I'm like, oh, so she kind of made me recognize that may not be true. But anyways, we didn't do any scientific testings on the two origins of these Saskatoons, but they were all delicious. I made some crumble, Saskatoon crumble on a number of occasions and got really quite creative. My niece Anna and I and Sharon had made this amazing Saskatoon crumble on our first pick. And then I went and reproduced that a few times after, did some picking on my own as well. So anyways, I like Saskatoon picking. They're really nice berries. And if you're not from Western Canada, you might not know what they are, but they're kind of like a blueberry. They grow on big bushes that can grow really, really big. And they're just found near, you can even go walking around the trails around here, and I'll have snacks on those when you go for walks on the Edmonton trails. They are bountiful, and then you just take a snack right there. I just eat them right off the tree, and they're just delicious. They're sweeter, or they're different. Anyway, well, that's a little bit of a tangent. So, crazy wise. Before we get deeper into, I'm just going to go to, I wanted to recognize Gene Key. Let's share my screen. Gene Key 38, I think it is, which is the one we're on right now. And where are my tabs? Here we go, Gene Key 38, which appears, let me just show you my own hologenetic profile. I have Gene Key 38 twice, I think, or wait a minute. Oh, it's 39 I have twice. I have 38 though. So anyways, I won't go into all the details, but this outer ring, so they call life's work, evolution, purpose, and radiance. And so in my purpose position, oh yeah, there it is, and attraction. I do have it twice. And I have 39 twice. Yeah, that's right. So these two on my outer ring, I have a second copy in other positions on my hologenetic profile. So 38 is honor, or struggle is the shadow. Perseverance is the gift, and honor is the siddhi. So I'm just going to give you a little sampling, but let me just make sure I don't know, optimized for video sharing. I'm not sure if that makes any sense here, but so if you're on the Gene Keys, and if you want your own hologenetic profile, I'll give you the link. There's a free on the website. You just type in your name, birth city, birth date, time. And if you don't know the time, they talk about that. Unless you're on a cusp, it won't be relevant, but the time can be relevant, especially for some of the lines. Like for me, I've got line 1, physicality, bones, for my purpose, which is the struggle, perseverance, and honor. So that I will provide in my description with all the links of the different things I'm sharing today. So just to get a little sampling, this is Richard Rudd. He's created little audios for each Gene Key, and they're available for free when you're in the Gene Key. So right now it's still for free, but I actually did purchase the entire, just prior to them switching to that, I bought the whole thing. And I think they charge $2 if you wanted to hear this one on your own, but I bought the whole one for, under $50, I think it was. But in the end, I tend to just listen to the one that is active. So I bought it, then it turned out to become free, but I don't mind. I like supporting Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys. I think it's a fabulous self-awareness tool, self-discovery tool. Let's just see how this will work. We'll have a listen, not for very long, but I want to hear what he has to say about struggle, because he always starts with the gift, or the shadow, moves into the gift, and then talks about the siddhi. And this is a particularly short one, but I'm only going to listen for some minutes, like 4 maybe. So I don't know. Let's just have a listen. Whoops, here we go. What am I doing? No, I'm not adding it to my collection. I'm listening to it. Here we go. Gene Key 38. Richard Rudd speaks of this.
The 38th Gene Key. The transformational way of the 38th Gene Key moves from struggle to honor. It's the way of perseverance. This way through the 38th Gene Key is really pivotal in our lives, because when we understand this one, immediately our life will begin to change. This is the pattern of struggle, and most of us don't like the idea of struggle. But still in life, we still always struggle at some level, whether it's the physical struggle for survival in the developing world, or the emotional struggle as we learn the meaning of love and loss, or the mental struggle with just about anything. So the revelation of this 38th shadow is all about struggle and its dilemma, which is habit. You see, we're born to struggle, to fight and to move ever upwards. We are forced from within to try and free ourselves, to learn to fly, to be free from struggle, to be effortless, like the birds in the sky or the dolphins leaping through the ocean waves. But even these creatures struggle. Everything does. It's the nature of evolution to go on expanding and reaching and surmounting itself. In humans, struggle can either free us or it can trap us. And it traps us when it becomes a habit. At low levels of frequency, we get so used to struggling that it becomes our daily norm. It's there when we begin our day with a mental list, for example, of all the things we have to do. And before we know it, the day is over. And we may or may not have done all those things, but what's important is that the day itself was lacking. It wasn't in any way memorable because we're trapped by the habit, by our habits. There's a great deal of sadness in this gene key. It's sad because it doesn't get to fight the real fight. I travel around the world now and again, and I love to travel. And one of the things that always takes me by surprise is that most of the people I meet, after I get to know them a little, they aren't doing what they would love to be doing. They're stuck in a habitual lifestyle that they think that they can't break out of. Habit can give the illusion of security, but it's a clear illusion. We can't be secure if we are unhappy. How can we feel secure? Security is a feeling in the cells. It's a sense of higher purpose. And we don't have to know how to get there, but we have to begin. We have to break our habit. Now, how do we do that? How do we break the habit of a lifetime? Well, it helps to be honest with ourselves first. Where are you unhappy? In your job, in your relationship, in your body? Where do we struggle? We can begin with self-honesty because we can then put that struggle to better use to serve a higher purpose. Imagine if we could use the consistency of the things that we struggle with on a daily basis for a higher purpose. Imagine that. Imagine something we've always wanted to do or be in our heart, and then put all our struggle into that. That's what will change our lives. We have to break the habit and move it onto a higher plane. Many of us think or hope that one day we're going to transcend struggle, and that somehow when we reach the highest consciousness, the siddhi, there will be no more struggle. But we should be aware here of the difference between the cessation of struggle and the end of suffering. It's the suffering that we transcend, not the struggle. Because we need struggle. Struggle defines us, it sharpens us, it hones us. It's a gift from the higher realms. Even the most illuminated beings struggle, but they don't suffer as they struggle. That's the point. Struggle is their joy because they know it's testing them, polishing them, and refining their awareness. So begin then by accepting this plane as a place of testing and education. The earth is a school, a marvelous school, and we're all here to learn. Rest will come later when we've earned it. In the meantime, let's use the struggle to raise our awareness and to elevate our frequency and to bring us ever closer to the gift and the siddhi. The 38th gift, perseverance. In the original classic translation of the I Ching by Richard Wilhelm, there's a very common phrase that repeats throughout the text. Perseverance furthers. It used to drive me nuts when I played with the I Ching. I'd ask these deep, probing questions and I get this flippant, impenetrable response. Perseverance furthers. At a very deep level, I think I now...
Okay, so I guess I'll stop there. And then just here, there's always a little summary here. This week we meet Gene Key 38, and the dates are December 30th to January 5th. The key of the spiritual warrior. Can you be the effortless warrior whose deep, loving wisdom sidesteps even the need for battle? The true warrior does not wish to fight, and so conflict becomes a dance, which paradoxically brings an end to the conflict. Ooh, I like that. I just think there's some beautiful words there. I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to let Richard, I kind of didn't want to interrupt him because I've never done this before. And if it turns out I have to clip that out, then I can do that and it won't interfere with the rest of. But I guess on the last, what was that one? Reactions of a Wicked Good Life. I did get through that much of Rayma Orr's permission slips are the key to unlocking your dreams. I still haven't watched it. That's where we got to last time. I'm just going to keep playing. I'm going to play a little bit and I may interrupt. Let's just make this bigger, make this bigger. And I want to see if we want to just listen to a minute or two or more. There's only like 6 minutes left, so we'll see what happens here. Rayma Orr talking about permission slips are the key to unlocking your dreams.
Integrates all of the above into a simple, all-encompassing truth. A permission slip, as far as I know, was coined by Bashar, of whom I'm a student for many, many years now. And I want to put a short video of Bashar explaining it first, and then I'll elaborate a little bit more right after.
Any technique, any tool, any discipline, any object that you believe will help you open up and become more of yourself, to give yourself permission to be more of who you are, is a tool that we call a permission slip. You are the ultimate permission slip, of course, because you are the one making the change. But if you have a belief system that says, it will be easier for me to do this if I use this technique because I relate to it for a reason, this is my creative way of interpreting this language that means this to me and gives me the reflection I need to move forward, well, that's all well and good. That's fine. It's a very creative way to do things. But these things don't control you. They reflect you.
So this idea.
Oh, yeah. So it's a video within a video within a video. That's pretty fun. I think we're going to leave it at that. Because, yeah, I guess I've explored. I'm going to just stop share. And in the meanwhile, my niacin flush is kicked in, but maybe it won't show in this lighting. But I noticed that as we were hearing Richard Rudd talk, my flush was coming on, and actually it's already settling down, so it didn't take long. But yeah, so permission slips. I think that was pretty powerful. I've explored Bashar material as well. And there's a lot of cool ideas there. He has a matter-of-fact approach. And Bashar is being channeled through Daryl Anka. The man you saw there speaking was channeling another being, communication coming through him. So yeah, that's a mediumship. That could be one style of mediumship, or what they call channeling. I know some people are like this with channeling. It's an interesting, I think a lot of interesting ideas have come through channels. Oh, so I don't know, maybe I don't have so much to say. So let's stop the share. How did we do that again? No, oh yeah, we're gonna go back up to share screen because I guess, I guess I just felt like we had left some things unchecked. This was something I'd lined up for last time. What does it feel like to have autism? I haven't watched it. I think I'm just gonna throw it on and see what happens.
Every second of every day, your brain is choosing what to ignore and what to pay attention to. But we all hear, see, and feel the world in different ways. There's one condition, though, that really impacts how you communicate with people around you and sense the world. It affects over 1 in 100 people, and it's called autism spectrum disorder, or autism for short.
I'm not a huge fan of labels, so I mean, I really feel that there's a more expanded way to consider what autism is, but I won't get into that. We're not going to go on that tangent right now, but I'm going to listen until I feel to stop. Let's see.
This is Alex. He's 10 and he has autism.
So Alex, if you have to explain to people what it's like for you having autism, what do you say?
It can cause me a lot of difficulties in day-to-day life because I absolutely loathe crowds and busy areas and people brushing past me.
Someone with autism is on the autism spectrum. This is like a scale, and different people are affected in different ways.
We've come to the park and set up an experiment to demonstrate how Alex's autism affects his senses.
What I've done is I've labelled the faders, which are like the volume knobs, with different sounds. And these are all the sounds we can hear around us. And when you're talking, I know there's a bit of traffic, there's some birds singing, I can hear the kids playing over there in the playground, there's a dog barking, but mainly I can hear you, and my brain can just turn all these other sounds off. Can you show me maybe what it's like for you?
I don't have as much control over it, so I'll just read them all out loud. But then I might be able to block those out a little bit, but I can't block them out anywhere near as much as you did.
Being overloaded with all this sensory information can lead to something called a meltdown.
What's it like when you're having a meltdown in your head?
Well, I just really kind of upset and angry and suppose distressed, and then
Okay, well, I'll stop there. Oh, that was interesting. I think that's kind of interesting. But I'm going to let that stand alone. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of taking it right where I left off, because this is where I left off on my last video, looking through the story, which was Richer for Poorer, a story that was a true story that I lived out, and I described it in my time in Brazil when I was taking a tour with Emma Bragdon, who was a psychologist in Vermont, and she took a group of healthcare providers on a tour to Brazil to witness how they have blended and weaved in a variety of different things. Like there's the religion and then the spiritualism, where there's energy workers. And so anyways, yeah, so I got to sort of listen to Crystallize, and then we stopped right there. Anyway, and if you can go back and watch the other one if you want, but anyways, and I will be linking this in the description. Love is kind, it's clear, it's effortless, and it's irresistible. Byron Katie. I need to ask for your help. She was on, oh yes. What? Anyways, I don't know what that is. That's not speaking to me right now. What we think, we create. What we feel, we attract. What we imagine, we become. Yeah, that's a powerful message. And the work of Byron Katie. All the advice you ever gave your partner was for you to hear. That is a really powerful message. And ever since I connected to that, I notice I'm not rushing to give advice in general, but whenever I hear myself, I definitely know it's for me. But so often it's for me and the other, so who knows? Okay, what do we have here? When you hear yourself give advice to another, it's actually for you. Oh yeah, it was Matt Kahn. Oh yeah, so Matt Kahn. That one hit me hard at first, but integrates more and more with each passing month. Matt Kahn's header on his website. Abundance is the energy of permission. The more you permit yourself the right to desire what you want, express gratitude for what you have, and be excited for whatever comes your way, the more abundance you are bound to receive. And then I guess I say some specific story there, but how to be successful, deal with your crap. But I will stop sharing because I'm going to also reiterate this idea of permission slips, permission. What are you giving yourself permission to experience, to receive, and etc. So I had my 5 notes of my orientation with Winfinity, looking to become a part of inquiry clusters, which to me feels like training for the solutions councils that I dream of. And I think we can get that going whenever we're ready. But I really got a big nugget, a golden nugget that I've been repeating to myself as a new personal mantra. I give myself permission to receive something better, something more, something different, something new. So there's no harm in repeating that little message. And what else do I want to say? I think we're just going to go back to the share. And where are we going next? It is whatever you say it is, 24/7, Bentinho Massaro. My command makes it so. My latest is, my wish is my command. I used to say my wish is your wish is my command, but now I say my wish is my command to myself. So anyways, yeah, when there's a rock in the middle of the road, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What did I say? What made me sing? Oh yeah, important to remember, I am all I need, but fulfilling desires enriches life. Understanding is optional and the biggest roadblock in my experience. So it looks like I threw that in there. When we feel joy or excitement, it signifies that our belief system is in alignment with our true frequency of being. The moment is king. And follow your what do I say? Let the mystery be. If you have created a level of clarity within yourself, you need only be present to the moment. The moment is king. And follow your excitement, intuition. The next best step will be in sight. That is all you need to know, moment to moment. See here, I say follow the breadcrumb trail, which I got from Bettina Massaro, but I now say follow the gold nugget trail. Step into the next best step without knowing step 2, 3, or 4. Repeat. Imagination. See, I've upgraded in the process of writing this article back in probably 2015, I'm guessing. Imagination is king. Imagination is king. Our imagination creates desires. Our experience follows, seeding new desires along the way, never stopping to check in on the recently seeded desires. Time. We've got all the time in the world. Languish in your daydreams. Road to glory. Yeah, because, oh yeah, that's right, the John of God. Look at this Playmobil depiction of the Last Supper. Be curious, not judgmental. Nice patchwork dress here. And it looks like spiritual wisdom and money. Whose was that? I don't know. Checklist for income. I'm trying not to go on too many tangents because I got a lot lined up already. What do I say here? I hope that I was careful to respect many people, no matter what bed that they made and refused to sleep in. You make your bed. Isn't that an old saying? You make, oh, what is it? It must be here somewhere. But anyways, whatever. In a nutshell, the more unattached I am to money, the more it attracts to me in abundance. I don't even know if I agree with that right now. Let me just double check in on that. I expect it to serve me. Abundance is an energetic vibration, pure physics. My experience with, okay, whoop. Yeah, that's not an optimal statement, but I did say that at that time. If anyone ever asks you, what would Jesus do? Remind him that flipping over tables and chasing people with a whip is within the realm of possibilities. You must drop the victim mentality to pick up the responsibility of freedom. Money is freedom. And I've long said, probably 30 years ago, money is an amplifier. It makes you more of what you already are. So keep that in mind. And there I say it again, ask the optimal questions of yourself, thus receive the optimal answers. And then you get choices. You get to make choices. You want same old shit or you want crazy new shit? Resilience is the key to everything. Health, love, abundance, and peace. Recalibrating. I've got in bold here. Upgrade your operating system to optimal. Go for optimal. Map of optimal. These link to short little writings that I have on Disabled Angel. And, oh yeah, and that's where I started thinking about water. They had charged water that they sold in bottles. And I bought all their bottles of charged water, I guess it was. And I drank all of that water while I was in Abujamra, Brazil. Let's see, what do we have here? Visible forces. What am I saying here? Simply the holy water, simply by focusing high vibrational intention, love and peace, palms facing the water, increases the energetic vibration of the water, because that's what they would do to the water. And then as you're in the town, you can choose to buy their water that they've done this to. They, and I don't know who they were, but they had a team of people. Invisible forces, aka magic, tongue-in-cheek, are displayed physically very well in the work of Masaru Emoto. Oh, there's a 3-minute video looking at Masaru Emoto. Okay, well, let's just take a look at that for a sec. Water's response, it's frozen and then they look under the microscope to take pictures. Okay, so for love, water starts to look like that, the ice crystals from the water. It's infused with the energy of love, like that thing. It's like that. That, you guys. I think very many people pick it up. Love and appreciation. Mute. Happiness. Ooh, look at that crystallography. Nice. Truth. Looks like that. Ooh, pretty. Crystallized water from the lake Carapicuba after prayer offering. Wow. Wow. Nice. And then a dam in Japan before offering a prayer. Ooh, that doesn't look very ordered. There's no crystallography. Mother Teresa. Huh, look at that. Hexagonal. You make me sick, I will kill you, in quotations. It looks like that. The water doesn't have any form. No form. Oh boy. Soul. So just the word soul. Look at that. Very interesting. Adolf Hitler. Oh boy. Whoops. He got a little far away from his true nature. Whoopsie doopsie. Gratitude. Oh wow. Look at that. So beautiful. Water sample taken out from the holy water. Looks like that. And I don't know any details about which specific holy water. Peace. Wow. Wow. Look at peace. Oh my goodness. I love it. Look at how complex it is. Okay, here's the music. Beethoven's Pastoral. Beautiful. Nice. Amazing Grace. Oh, that's really sweet. It's not the most clear picture, sorry, but you get the idea. Ooh, demon. Ooh. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh. Ay. After exposure to a child. Oh, what does that look like? Oh, that has a good impact on you to be with children. Anger. Oops. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Huh. Look at that. If thoughts can do that to your water, imagine what our thoughts can do to us. Okay, that's enough for that. Let's just go. Stop sharing. But yeah, like what happened was I got to that. I was looking through that article because I was trying to remember this idea of permission slips and what I witnessed while I was at John of God. I won't go into details. I know John of God kind of got some bad news going on. I think he was put away for some sexual inappropriateness with women, and yeah, anyway, so yeah, I went to John of God knowing nothing about it, just saying, okay, I'll participate, and you go and you present yourself on, I think only on the weekends, and we got there a few days early, so we were tooting around town and having fun. This tour group, a part of my tour group from the Brazil trip, we're all there together. And one of the things that he does, anyways, I won't go into the details, but what I wanted to make a notice of, maybe this is hanging all by itself, but let me just tell you, it's kind of a mediumistic healing anyway. So people will come in droves with all kinds of diagnosis and health conditions and intentions and desires. And anyways, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I had some really strong intentions. I had a few days ahead, and I felt like I was processing a lot the whole time. Once I got to Abujamra, I could just feel, and I would tootle around town and eat and visit with the people that I knew there, because we all traveled there together, but we didn't stay at the same pousada. I think they're called pousadas, like bed and breakfast kind of place, or mostly just bed, I think. Anyways, Brazilian cheese buns, paella de queijo or something they're called. Oh my goodness. Every morning I got to eat those. Oh yeah, breakfast was included because I had those every morning and I love those. Those are so yummy. I came home and learned to make them. And there's Brazilian shop. I can go buy them there too. But I did a pretty good job myself. But yeah, so part of, you go to John of God, blah, 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 all these things happen. But at one point there can be a choice. Do you want physical surgery or do you want etheric surgery? And I took great notice. No one really talked about it, but I said, oh yeah. So it turned out like some of the people were local to Brazil and then people from all around the world come. So I was in a group of international travelers. It turned out we jumped the queue because we had hired kind of a person to, and then we jumped the queue, which I felt a little bit bad about. But anyway, so I did notice that most of the local people wanted the physical surgery. And so what this was is they would just take your arm, make a cut, and then stitch it back together. So they got physical surgery. That's all it was. But in the physical surgery was all these permission slips to get better or to have your intentions come true. So by having a cut in your arm and putting it back together, you could call that placebo, but in their belief system, they wanted the physical surgery, whereas we also, I'll take the etheric surgery, thank you very much. And then when I chose that, then you say, okay, appear at this place at this time, you know, within the, what do they call it? Casa, the casa. Anyways, you go, it's a kind of a site, it's got beautiful gardens, lots of buildings, and there was a specific room I was to present to, and I did. And there was a whole group of us all together getting etheric surgery. It was quite an experience, but I think I won't go into the details, but just that concept of permission slips. So the belief system of the Brazilian people, they wanted the physical surgery, and then most international people were choosing the etheric surgery. And I knew instantly right away, oh yeah, the etheric surgery. I mean, it's just a permission slip, right? So I don't want anyone cutting. I was like, no, thank you. I'm not doing that. So I kind of didn't finish my thought in my last video, and I wanted to finish that thought because I thought it was interesting. Okay. Oh, and the other thing, oh yeah, let me just put that away for a minute. Oops, I'm over my own face, but I don't think you guys are seeing that, but I'm not sure. Another little couple unfinished things. I said abject. I said abject reality in the last video, and I remember thinking, what? Abject? I never use that word. So I went and looked it up after. I was kind of shocked by the definition. So abject. So I was referring to sort of abject reality. I can't remember exactly how I said it, but it caught my attention. Abject. Why am I saying abject? So the definition. There's 4 offered definitions. 1, utterly hopeless, miserable, humiliating, or wretched, as in abject poverty. The second definition, contemptible, despicable, base-spirited, an abject coward. They're giving an example. 3, shamelessly servile. I don't even know what servile means, but slavish. 4, in an obsolete one, cast aside. But I noticed the origin of abject is from the 1400 to 1450 Middle English, abjectus, thrown down, thrown down. So the way I said it, abject reality, I think that's the meaning I was referring to. But again, I'm just kind of showing you my version of mediumship. I don't use the word abject, and how I just threw in there. I mean, the way I'm doing my videos, it is kind of, it's hard to know how much of me, I'm trying to step out of my own way and deliver some stuff. And yet I'm in there too. I don't know, it's just so it's so woven in for me now. And I'm quite happy about that. Like, it's so cool. I'm just trying to access the highest reachable dimension of myself, like Russian nesting dolls here. They're just right here, but this is the 5th of one of the biggest one of the 5 set. And yet there's probably more. So I reach up to the highest version Matryoshka doll that I can access to help deliver messages. And it's unique, I guess, and different, and we're all unique. So that's the way it works. So yeah, my use of abject were real. I'm like, whoa, what am I saying? I had a feeling it was kind of like a little bit of a negative word. But if we're kind of experiencing this thrown down reality, it's real, but like, let's get the higher Matryoshka, the bigger Matryoshka doll version of reality that we can access, the biggest one we can access, the most expanded one that we can access. Because once we do that, we can harmonize and synchronize better with each other. So if you're not harmonizing and synchronizing well with people in your life, at work, at home, out in the world, and the fact that the war exists in our world right now tells me that we're not there yet. But it's accessible. It really is. I think now more than ever. And so that was another one. I couldn't find the word sommelier. I was looking for the word sommelier, an expert wine tester. And I was using the analogy, so sommelier, meaning someone who's got developed extra attention, focus, and skills at assessing wines just by putting the wine in their mouth, swishing it around. And often the pros will spit it right out. They don't want to get drunk. They don't want to be drinking the wine. They're just assessing and getting the sensory perceptions of the wine. And so I was offering in the last video, and I will offer again, I will repeat the idea of taking in a perspective like a sommelier and just swish it around. And like, it's not going to, some people, I guess you might be scared, it's going to contaminate me. It's going to contaminate me. Oh no, I'm not going to be able to get rid of it. But no, actually, well, there comes a time when I think you can take in a perspective, swish it around in your awareness like a sommelier, and then spit it out. And then you can choose, it may influence you, it might tweak something within your own prior to having that experience of swishing around that new perspective. It can be tricky though. Anyway, so I'm also in this moment reminded of, I did take some time to go to courses at Arthur Findlay College, which is a psychic university. So like, oh, a psychic university exists. I got to go check this out. So the first one I attended was expert trance mediumship or something like that. And I was not an expert trance medium at the time. And maybe I never will be or want to be, because this, what I call, I've heard people call it conscious channeling, like you don't have to go into a trance and then blah, 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 words come out of your mouth. But I guess when we looked at Bashar, that was more of a, I think you could call that a trance mediumship. But I think I like to be sort of witness and remember, even though, anyway. So the tutor, the main tutor that I had when I went to that expert trance mediumship course, which was so phenomenal. I really got some very large gold nuggets from that experience. Number one, because I did have the experience of trance mediumship once that popped spontaneously into my experience. And that was October 25th, 2012. And that was the incident that resulted in my 30-day incarceration in the psychiatry system here in Edmonton at the Grey Nuns Hospital. Ooh, so I mean, my family could see that's not her. And then, yeah, and I was like, ooh, wow, what? They were nice words though that were coming out, but I knew it wasn't me too. So I was kind of listening going, oh, and whatever. So anyways, I go to this trance mediumship course and I found out, well, we did an exercise at one point where I did it again. It took, I wouldn't say it took effort, but it wasn't very smooth and it didn't spontaneously come flowing out. But here I was in this group of expert people, and a lot of people were noticing, hey, you've never had experience. What are you doing here? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm here. But anyways, in this exercise, it turned out only a few of us were able to do it, but I was one of them. And that was just so, I needed that so much because I'm like, what happened there? I never really knew. And even when I was going to that, I had no idea. But then I realized that's freaking cool. That's what happened on October 25th, 2012. And I'm not even going to try to remember the date, but it was definitely after 2014, because I met a girl at that Brazil tour who told me about Arthur Findlay College. So it had to be after that. So years later, then I'm like, and then what did we do? We did the exercise. Okay, let's go for coffee. It was the most mundane thing. So for me, that I needed to know that. Like I wanted to understand what happened to me. Like nobody who witnessed it knew what it was, and I didn't know what it was. And then they just took me to the hospital. I got locked up and incarcerated and chemically incarcerated as well. But that didn't last long because as soon as I got out of the hospital, I just stopped almost everything except for lithium. I took a low dose lithium for years, from 2012 till November 2016. So, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh shit, I better figure this out. Otherwise I'm going to get chemically incarcerated for the rest of my life. And on the third incarceration, they actually were writing up legal documents to take away my right to choose for myself medical decisions. Can you believe that? I mean, really, it was so insane. I was scared. I really was. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So as soon as I knew this was happening, I'm like, and the first person I see is someone I went to med school with who is a psychiatrist, and he was on the wards doing rounds on his patients. I'm like, and I said his name. I'm like, and then he's like, I can't get involved in this. And I'm just like, but then I thought, wait, stop, Angèle. No, it's not done yet. Don't worry. Anyways, I was discharged, I think, the next day, and because I had filed for some official hearing to object to what they were doing to me and keeping me against my will. So anyways, I got out after 8 days of being incarcerated that last time. So that happened. This is a true story, people. And remember, we're calling this Crazy Wise. This is called Crazy Wise. So there's a reason why I'm going back. I didn't plan to do that bit about, oh yeah, and the other thing is this tutor. I ended up doing a 1-year mentorship with him. We saw each other, maybe it was just once a month for 12 months and working at it. But it was so funny because I didn't want to be a medium, but I did want to understand it more. And he quickly realized, okay, she doesn't care about the typical mediumship. I just wanted to know more, learn from him. And I did. But one thing he said during the course prior to our mentorship together that really stuck with me, and I love it. He had this analogy that he gave, like, let's say you have, in the old days, they had oils and they would pour oils into beautiful containers and then they pour the oils, use them in maybe ritualistic ways or ceremony ways or whatever. But he said, and he sort of likened mediumship, or when you're channeling higher frequency, and hopefully your higher frequency, more pure frequency, more harmonic frequency, when you're channeling that through you, it's just like the oil vessel. Well, you can pour all the oil out, but a residue is left behind. A residue is left behind. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, to choose to bring down the highest accessible version of yourself, or maybe it's even another light being of some sort, you know, this idea of communicating outside of physical communication. So like that oil vessel that you're pouring the oil out of, you can never get all the oil out. There's going to be a little residue left behind. So anyways, I really like that analogy. I thought that was pretty fucking cool. And those are some of the things I wanted to add into from my last. And there's more. Let's go see, share. What are we doing next? Let me follow my own little prearranged situation. So, yeah, because I did mention a breatharia in Rei Maor. I attended a retreat, and it was at the Philia Center, Philia Retreat Center in Costa Rica. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Philia Retreat Center in Costa Rica. For anyone who's wanting to do retreats, it's a really nice location. Philia is a sacred space where healing occurs first and foremost through connection. It is our intention that at Philia, each person will experience new depths of interpersonal connection, emotional intimacy, and relationship. So it's owned by Teal Swan, and her group do some of the retreats, but they also subcontract out to other people who can use their facility for retreats. So that's how I came to experience Philia Retreat Center, and it was really great. And then Rei Maor was the leader, and he does do retreats in all places all around the world. I just thought I'd bring attention to, I guess in 2025, he has in Malaga, Spain, March 5th to 13th, and Nepal Pranic Cleanse, April 2025. It's funny, I looked at this and I didn't even think, but boy, I'd love to go to Nepal. April 2025, And then I guess in November, Sedona, Arizona, but that's so long away. But April 2025, Nepal. I don't know, but I'm going to look into that more later. So yeah, there's Rei Maor, and I shared, well, we just saw him briefly there today. And then on my last video, which was called Reactions of a Wicked Good Life on December 30th. Okay, so where are we going next? Oh, Emma Bragdon. I talked about Emma Bragdon, who led the tour in Brazil, and imhu.org, moved towards positive transformation with Emma Bragdon, PhD. So I'm just showing, like, there's so many people who've helped me on my journey. And I just missed attending Ken Lloyd live healing session, but I'm going to see the replay. I just got notified that it's over. But anyway, okay, so are you struggling with issues related to spiritual awakening, psycho-spiritual crisis, trauma, or major life changes? There comes a time when help is needed from a certified professional, and I could question that. But anyway, she's a beautiful human being, and she's a certified professional. To cope with these challenges, I'm here to support you on your journey toward optimal well-being. So anyways, that's Emma Bragdon. I'm glad to, I can't believe I forgot her name, because so she also invited the two main people from the Crazy Wise film. So they attended that Brazil tour with us. Phil Borges and Kevin Tomlinson. There they are. Let's just read about Phil Borges. Phil Borges has been documenting Indigenous cultures and striving to create an understanding of the challenges they face for over 25 years. For his program, Stirring the Fire, Phil produced and filmed several short films, capturing the stories of women heroes and the issues they face all over the world, both as solo projects and in collaboration with organizations. But you see, I actually have, he gifted me a picture, not this exact picture, but this shaman is depicted in the one that I own. And it's filmed, it's in my family room, sitting on top of my secretary desk. But this is the trailer for the Crazy Wise film. And look at all these different things here. Official selection, Arizona, so Byron Bay, so that was shown at various film festivals. Crazy Wise Conversations, personal journeys of transcendence and healing, psychosis and spiritual awakening. So basically, here's a photographer who was going around taking photographs of shamans and noticing and somehow coming to hear their backstories and recognizing that it might be similar to psychosis. So I just wanted to remind you of that. Kevin Tomlinson. So I traveled to Brazil with these two gentlemen, and they were doing interviews of a bunch of us, and they were the ones who are the filmmakers, directors and executive producers of Crazy Wise, the film. Kevin Tomlinson has been an independent Seattle-based producer, director, and cinematographer for over 25 years. He has earned numerous Emmys and Tellys for his network news camera work with NBC, ABC, CBS, PBS, and Discovery. Kevin directed and co-produced the award-winning feature documentary Back to the Garden, which premiered at SIFF in 2009, and over 30. Anyways, these are two gentlemen. They both are, Kevin maybe Seattle, but I recall that Phil lives in a little island just off Seattle, and there's a very conscious community that lives in that island, and I can't remember the name. So that's the film Crazy Wise, which I will be sharing more about, but I'm just going to go one by one on these. This, because I talked about Teal Swan, I happened to come across this in a very unique way, and I thought, I want you to hear and meet Teal Swan.
Drew a card.
Whoops,
What's
we've
going
got to do
on
something.
in general in humanity, in the blind spot that humanity doesn't see right now in their lives. And the one that came up for us, that means you watching, is number 22.
Okay, I'm not sure that you're hearing
This
that,
one
but
is all about endurism.
endurism.
Endurism is the shadow that we're not seeing. So let's talk about endurism. Endurism is the exact opposite of escapism, but
Endurism is the opposite of escapism. I think, I'm not sure that that sound is coming through, so I'm just not going to, but that's Teal Swan. She's, I think, I remember when I first saw her, I just thought, wow, she's like a show-stoppingly beautiful woman, and it's distracting, and kind of, I found it really, I think her looks do create an experience for men and women alike. She's a very, very beautiful woman. And she has so many great sharings. But here we are. I just Googled Angèle Beaudoin Crazy Wise. I like to emphasize this because, because I was called psychotic by a psychiatrist I was seeing as an outpatient. Literally, when I was talking to her about this project, she charted in her notes, and I have on my Manic Ministrations YouTube channel, there is a video called Communication Breakdown, where I'm describing that encounter, where she didn't ask me anything. She just documented that I was psychotic with delusions of grandeur because I thought I would be in a movie called Crazy Wise, and I know the producer, Phil Borges. So like, I'm just wanting to point out to you that, you know, when you're making those kind of bold statements about another person, and she made no effort, zero effort, like she could have literally asked me something more about it because she thought it sounded crazy. She didn't say anything. She just documented me and then tried to trick me into taking an antipsychotic medication. So like, that is so damning to the psychiatry profession. And yet, like, it's not personal against her. I don't even remember her name, believe it or not. I hold no bad feelings, but oh boy, I had to process that. Like, wow, these people actually think they're helping people. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's a bold statement, and yet it's coming out of my mouth today on January 1st, 2025. But like, here's a bunch of videos where like, I clearly know the guy, Phil Borges. I clearly know him. She could have even, you know, like, I'm just, for anyone out there in the field, if you're making these kinds of feelings, if you're not checking yourself, check yourself, my friend. Check yourself, check yourself, check yourself. Nowadays, maybe the doctors are a little wiser because she had a computer right in front of her. She could have Googled Angèle Beaudoin Crazy Wise. Boom, there you go. Let's hear, what is Angèle Beaudoin Finding Hope for Recovery? Let's take a listen-y.
Psychiatric patient in crisis.
Oh, they're not coming very loud for some reason.
I guess that's another thing worth mentioning in my experience as a psychiatric patient in crisis, that I really recognized that there was these different energetic levels of all patients. And I thought to myself of even my own experience as a doctor, and I felt that the system had no way of trying to discern what level you were at. I was treated like I was at the bottom level, both times that I was admitted as an inpatient, to the point where the second time I was held down by 4 people and injected with Haldol intramuscularly. And so I've got 3 medications. I'm told I'm going to need them for the rest of my life. And the thing that really was a clincher, don't you dare stop those medications because fear, the fire, this is a quote, the fire will blaze in your brain and it might not be extinguishable the second time. So I thought that's a very interesting choice of words. Let's create fear of even trying to stop the medications. Well, I guess I just went back to my medical education and I thought to myself, there's a few very simple primary dictums, and the first one is the oath of Hippocrates. First, do no harm. And secondly, never let the patients leave without hope. So to me, that was just such a foundational, I connected with that feeling. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a doctor, and I'm not going to let any patient leave my office without hope. So my chance to be the patient comes along and I go to the hospital. And I felt that I left that hospital with not an ounce of hope. And any hope I did have was generated by me. To have full holistic health, it involves the mind, body, and the spirit. And I don't think you can ever really forget the spirit. The spirit is, it's kind of our wild card, and it is part of who we are. I think we have a higher version of ourselves that we have access to. To lose access to that, that's kind of our intuition. When people talk about following your gut, that's your highest access to yourself. That's your spirit. It's just if you've lost access to it, you're going to have a pretty tough time holding those reins in your self-healing. If you believe that you can't heal yourself, you won't be able to heal yourself. That's something I've discovered in my own process and journey. One of the first things you have to get rid of is the belief that you can't do it.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's Angèle. And that's October 2014. Oh my God, it's kind of funny to see yourself, right? When, things have shifted. Let me go back. Things have changed since then. But anyway, let's see. Somehow that seemed almost not as familiar, but yeah, that's on Phil Borges. Yeah, because I've seen different cuts of different things from the interview they did with me, which obviously isn't all in public viewable form, but let's just see, what does this one say? Whoops. Oh no, wait a minute.
Dictums, and the first one is the oath of Hippocrates. First, do no harm. And secondly, never let
Oh my goodness.
a patient comes along and I go to the
Actually, you know what? It doesn't hurt to repeat it. This is 42 seconds.
Well, I guess I just went back to my medical education and I thought to myself, there's a few very simple primary dictums, and the first one is the oath of Hippocrates. First, do no harm. And secondly, never let the patients leave without hope. So my chance to be the patient comes along and I go to the hospital, and I felt that I left that hospital with not an ounce of hope. And any hope I did have was generated by me. If you believe that you can't heal yourself, you won't be able to heal yourself. That's something I've discovered in my own process and journey. One of the first things you have to get rid of is the belief that you can't do it.
Said this before, but I guess I don't know when and where, but I want to just remind ourselves about the oath of Hippocrates. Because even in my medical education, we were all talking about Hippocratic oath, first do no harm, primum non nocere. But only after maybe it was 2016 where I dug in deeper. And it's more than just first do no harm. It's also the fact that to do anything, you would want to know with certainty. Like you wouldn't want to intervene with things that you don't know. Like if we have natural self-healing mechanisms and we don't allow them, the natural history. I wrote a silly story about wisdom teeth, what are they good for, to try and give you this concept of the natural history of disease. Very well known in the medical education, what's the natural history? Like if we did nothing, what would happen? Because if it turns out you can heal yourself, then don't do anything, right? Like first do no harm. Don't do it. Don't do it. If it's naturally going to get better on its own, then don't interfere with that. That's kind of new in this moment. Like don't interfere with natural self-healing mechanisms. That's the nutshell for 2025. Please let us be a lot more careful and start questioning all the millions of assumptions we've made over the last hundreds of years. We're not recognizing the self-healing capacity of a human being. However, I think the more important thing to do in 2025 is to look at the container and the environment and the context. I really don't feel that we have a very adequate understanding of all the relevant factors and variables within our context and container, because those things are more amenable to help the self-healing mechanisms to be uncovered. Okay, so that's brand new. See how it takes me a while to get into it? And so that's a version of mediumship. Hey, I'm a medium, I'm a large, I'm a small, whatever. I'm naturally Angèle now. I'm being more brazenly authentic. Oh, and it's an hour, and I really thought this was going to be an hour, but let's see. Maybe it won't take me that long to continue on, but let's keep going. I'm having relative fun here. Am I going to do any more from the Crazy Wise Angèle Beaudoin Google? Let's take a look, because that was a repeat kind of MD Reflections on Healthcare. Okay, so this one could be different. This was Emma Bragdon. Yeah, Spiritual emergency support. This is Emma Bragdon, who had the material and she put it together herself. So let's just see what that one, if there's anything new in there. I think there is, if I recall.
Well, I started as a family physician, graduating in 1992, I guess licensed in 1992, worked full-time for 5 years, really dug in and enjoyed that work. However, I ended up feeling like I was spitting into the wind, that I really wasn't getting to the core of people's health problems, and I didn't feel that prescribing medications was helping them. I look back, I didn't think this at the time, but as I look back, I was intuitive. I could see some things that I didn't understand about people, and it made it really hard for me to work. I'd be having two conversations in my head. The doctor, who was trained from university, and then there was this intuitive person who was arguing with the doctor all the time. So I finally said, well, I want to have children. God, do you want me to be a physician or a mother? And I got the answer, mother. And I guess my vision for a future wellness center would require caregivers to have a certain level of healing and integration of their own humanity in order to really give care properly. So that's where I could sort of see yet again this system that we've built with all the most pure intentions of giving care, that maybe we lost our way a little bit. While I was in the hospital, I recognized how misunderstood I would be, and it was them and us, and they had all these rules, and there really was no way I was going to get out of it. I recognized how tight the system was to really not allow for this spiritual blossoming to be, encouraged by slamming you down with physical medications and not allowing physical touch even. Contact is so limited. There was just so many things in the system that were exactly the opposite of what I would think would be a good idea for someone having a spiritual crisis or a crisis of any kind. But there was this fear developed around psychiatry, which makes a lot of sense. The idea of even spirit and mediums, that there was a time when certainly the Christian church had ways of making us very afraid of the bad spirits, evil being maybe contagious. So that sure enough, the system, I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 40-year-old movie, plus 40-year-old movie, and things have not changed in 40 years. So it goes to show, this system was made a long time ago. We know better now, and I hope we will do better soon. Well, when I came here, I did sort of wonder, would this inspire me enough to want to come to Brazil and train in this type of mediumship work? And I still don't have a clear answer on that. I do see value in the mediums, like when I've seen what they do, and I've experienced myself some very strong experiences. They did some what they call passes, where they put their hands over your body, and the energy movement within me was absolutely easy to experience. It was a very big experience. So I think that's one advantage of coming on a trip like this, where I felt it myself. I know with 100% certainty that they have moved some energy in me. I don't fully understand what that will mean for my future or how it will implement my potential self-healing ability to enable others to self-heal. My big dream is to enable others to self-heal, heal myself and enable others to self-heal. That I really recognized that there was these different energetic levels of all patients, and I thought to myself of even my own experience as a doctor, and I felt that the system had no way of trying to discern what level you were at. I think energy is the missing component in Western medicine. The concept of we all are conduits of energy, and we all vibrate and resonate in different ways, and it has an impact on our health and on our actions.
All right, so there we go. What's next? Do we have something else to go here? So that was in October 2014. So I'd just like to, I think in 2025, somehow at that time, I didn't feel like anyone would really listen to that. I don't know, whatever. So, okay, let's listen to Emma Bragdon while she was interviewed by the Crazy Wise people. Let's have a listen. She's a beautiful woman.
My sense is we are going through a period of change where we're coming out of something that we could call like the Dark Ages, where we were so engrossed and fascinated with materialism that we couldn't believe in anything else unless we could measure it and touch it and feel it. And now we're entering into an age where we could say comes from quantum physics. And I think some of the wealthier people here, just like in the United States, are going to workshops and seminars where they can open their minds, or they have the time to meditate. And actually, it's not new for Brazilians to have spiritualism because of the indigenous culture here, and also because of the Africans that were brought over as slaves initially. But there was a great deal of intermarriage, unlike the United States. So with the intermarriage comes not only babies of beautiful colors, but comes the transfer of philosophy. And so there's been more integration of spiritualistic types of philosophy, and people feeling that the spiritual realm is quite close. What you find here within this broader concept of fraternidade or fellowship is that the people working in the Spiritist centers really care to work together as a team. And if you go to the hospital, what you'll find is the
that team building, team building, team building, team building, team building. We need some team building. We need some team building. We need some team building. Allô, bonjour, tout le monde.
Psychiatrists work together with the mediums in a very respectful manner. So they aren't saying the mediums are second-class citizens because they don't have the academic history. It's very interesting to consider that a lot of the people who end up being the most highly trained mediums, who have the greatest capacity for assisting people through medical intuition and also other refined therapies, many, if not all of them, have gone through a time of tremendous disturbance within themselves. Entering into a time of chaos may be an initiation because they really are set up to become a healer or a medium. But it's not always taken that if you hear voices, then that means you're supposed to be a healer or a medium. They also might think maybe this person is processing some severe trauma and they need some extra help. They need to be listened to without judgment, without a sense of, oh, you clearly are, have some pathology. It would be much more.
We need to stop pathologizing trauma-related behaviors. Allô, bonjour, bonsoir, please, let's get going. Oh my goodness. Let's see, I'm sorry, I've interrupted you, Emma. Please finish.
Or they need some extra support right now.
They need some extra support right now. Yeah. Let's see. We have another 7-minute video. Will we go into that? Let me just peek in. We're not going to listen to the whole one. Let's see. We might. We'll see. Oh, and Dagmar Ramos. She's a psychiatrist and a medium.
I have tremendous respect for the Spiritists, and I feel that they are truly brilliant in terms of helping people who move into this zone where they have severe mental disturbance, and especially those who have a psychotic process and are hearing voices, because they can recognize someone who has what they call repressed mediumship. Someone
Repressed mediumship, yep, and no one ever taught me that in medical school. Whoopsie doopsie.
Who is hearing voices and is clearly needing to develop them and develop their shamanic abilities or whatever you want to call it. So they can recognize those people and give them adequate care and training. I don't know where that's being given within the context of a community center and a hospital, anywhere else in the world. Usually have to go into the indigenous cultures to get that. So they're brilliant in that particular arena.
Some cases that the person became healthy,
Meet Dr. Dagmar Ramos, a psychiatrist and a medium herself. She is phenomenal. She was, I think, the head of the Casa Euripides, the mental health facility that we went, and I think this is being done at that facility. It looks like just look at the natural environment. Does that look like a hospital parking lot to you? Oh my goodness, what a wonderful trip that was. I'm telling you, did I ever get educated? And then I was too chicken to share it in a proper way, but I couldn't find a proper staging container. So anyways, I've created it. Here it is. You are here. I am here. This is now. Let's go.
Some of the mediums that were working with us, and now they are really normal persons living their lives with the family and job. Many of them, they used to be psychiatric patients. They discovered they were just mediums. You know, Dona Eliane, she passed a long time of her youth in a psychiatric.
I met that woman. She was such a jewel. Oh my goodness. I just couldn't let go of her hand. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because we sat in a conference room together, and I can't remember all the details, but I remember Donna Maria. Oh my goodness. It's bringing just such a burst in my heart. Some people's spirit is just so beautiful, you can hardly withstand it.
Hospital. They said she had an schizophrenia, and now you saw Dona Eliane Crespo. She's so normal person. She has a large family, and she works until today, and she has all these groups that she supervision of all these groups. She's a normal person. When she was a youngest, she used to hear voices and to.
I just have to stop and add in a really key thing that I noticed here, and one of the reasons why I didn't go rushing to, I didn't know where to train, but they always train in groups because we all are so unique and individual. They will have I think it's 6 and 8 to a group, so that everyone's kind of uncovering their gifts and abilities in a group of 6 or 8. And so some are more experienced, and they will really guide each other and not just go, I think in the Western world, I see a lot of people with intuitive gifts, just go right out there, start a YouTube channel, start doing coaching, blah, 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 and kind of learn on the fly, which is kind of what we've had to do because there's been no other option. But I literally haven't thought of that since way back then in 2014, but this is just ting, reminding me. They recognize the fallibility of just going off on your own and making your own little reality bubble. That's not going to help as well as if you can, this collaborative group thing, my people, it doesn't matter what we're talking about, but optimal collaborative groups are the wave of the future. I really want to emphasize that here right now. But oh my God, I also want to say Dr. Dagmar Ramus introduced me to family constellation therapy, and she did a session for a specific person in our group, and we were all blind to it. So now I recognize that's something that's done sometimes in very touchy situations, but I was a representative in that constellation. And I remember it was just so amazing, wow, I seem to know what to say. And then we've all learned that it was extremely, extremely healing for that woman. She was a family physician from New York State. That's all I remember about her. But yeah, none of us knew what the issue was, but we were all assigned to play the role in the constellation, to let it just play out. So we were just instructed to do what we were felt to do, say what we felt to say, move how we felt to move. And I think I was a grandma or a great grandma. And so we all had this really cool experience. We seemed to be, we were actors in a play that we knew nothing about. We just somehow knew what to do, knew what to say. And then I think she literally was sort of the woman who this was for, ended up going away overnight. And then we heard the next morning she had the most deep and profound healing as a result of this family constellations therapy. So whatever the issues were, they were so private that nobody needed to know. No one needed to know. And yet we played a role. Anyway, family constellation therapy, family constellation therapy, family constellation therapy. And then I forgot about that until I had my final really dramatic episode in January 2018, where I kept telling my friend Sharon, write down family constellation therapy. And I was doing constellation therapy, not but I was doing constellation therapy in my altered state. So I don't know, I don't know what to call it, but I was taking objects, letting them represent this, represent that. And I was doing this and doing that. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I could see that I was very mindfully doing in this constellation therapy. And I kept telling, and then Sharon, when I came back to normal conscious, like more normal state consciousness, she just said, Angèle, here's the piece of paper, family constellation therapy. You told me 10 times to write this down and remind you. So I was in that state. I knew, I was concerned that I would forget, and I did. I wouldn't have remembered. So anyways, when she told me that, I instantly went and had a session myself by 2 women who told me they were trained by Jonathan Hooten in Edmonton. And so it turned out that was maybe February, and then March, his course started, and I took a 1-year course of being a family constellation therapy facilitator. So yeah, this was all like, look at 2014, it took me till 2018 in an altered state to remember how powerful, like, because it was secret, I didn't really know what to make of it. It's like, oh, I had that experience, but I could feel, oh, this is something I want to look into. But then I was too obviously discombobulated to actually remember that, and I didn't follow it up until 2019, basically. So for the 1-year course involved 7 or 5 days, full-time days, 4 times a year. So it's not like, you know, I didn't spend the whole year, but there were 4 one-week sessions, very intensive, and people came from all over Canada to attend that. I drove 10 minutes. And then 1 person came from Nova Scotia, 1 from Winnipeg, 1 from Calgary, and 1 from Fort Saskatchewan, and Angèle from Edmonton. And here's this masterful teacher, Jonathan Hooten. But anyways, he now, after COVID, he does more of these family constellation people are doing it on Zoom. It is amazing, 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 amazing modality. You don't have to confront your family people. And they may even be past. It can be done. This is an amazing therapy. And I'm so sorry, I've totally interrupted this video. And let's see if we get back into it or not. Let's go.
See the spirits, and they took her to this psychiatric hospital.
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to leave it there. But anyways, let's go back. Looks like I I broke Dr. Ramos's groove. So that's from the spiritual emergency support is Emma Bragdon, who got all the unused material from the Crazy Wise filmmakers and used some of it and published it herself. So that's what that is. And let me just see. Oh, look at Mama's getting excited. Ooh, what did I do next? Where was I? Was I here? Here? I was here. No, we did that. We did that. We did that. Emma Bragdon. Okay. Then we go here. Oh yeah, because this is what I was going to do for Dagmar Ramus, the Crazy Wise clip of Dagmar Ramus. Let's take a look at that. Or is there a clip? Began seeing spirits and realized she had healing abilities at a very young age. She had, let's just click on that. Oh, there's a video there, isn't there? Yes, okay. Let's hear, this will be a shorter one, I betcha. It is 2 minutes. Let's listen to the Crazy Wise clip of Dr. Dagmar Ramus, psychiatrist at Euripides Hospital. Whatever I said before might not be correct. That looks like, sometimes I don't remember the exact, but in Goiânia, Brazil. So that's why I went to Goiânia, Brazil, was because Emma Bragdon led a tour with her close relationship with Dr. Ramos.
We have in Brazil many spiritists, hospitals, psychiatric hospitals. Brazil is the country of love, of open-minded, and the perfect country to develop this kind of philosophy. We have about 300 voluntary mediums working here. We don't ask for any payment for the spiritist healing, not at all. And all the patients will receive the spiritist treatment, the prayers, and also the passes, magnetic passes. All of them will.
Okay, right in this moment, you know, that magnetic passes, as I was hearing myself, see how I said energy moved. Let's just look. Okay, I'm going to look at this gentleman in the front here, and I'm just taking out my pendulum. Is that gentleman assisting the person in the bed? And I actually get a no. Yeah, because moving energy. Okay, it looks like I'm just going to take that moment. As wonderful as everything is, like you can't just assume everything that you're doing with good intentions. It might be good intentions, and yet it may, like, just because you're moving energy doesn't mean necessarily anything, right? it's just that motion really reminded me of a memory. I think I have spoken about how I met Martha Burkett, who she's actually passed away. She passed away in September 2020, but I met her in October, the first weekend of October in 2015, because I went to have a booth myself at New Earth Expo in Calgary, and they also have one in Edmonton, but somehow I was connected to Katrina, the psychic medium. That's my girl in town, she's a really famous psychic medium. She does platform mediumship. And so I went to that on her, like she said, you should read tarot cards. That's what she said. You should read tarot cards. And then it ended up there were not any tables left. She goes, oh, you got to come, you got to come, you got to come. So like Spirit has a way of getting you where you need to be. So I actually chose to do it. And I was working with Matthew Smith, my mentor in mediumship, from the UK. We were doing Zoom sessions or whatever sessions. I don't know how we did it. Probably did it on Zoom, or did we do it on telephone? I can't remember. No, we were face to face, so it must have been Zoom. But and he said, "What? You can't do that." And I'm like, "I'm going to do it." So I offered my services. Bovera optimization. I had a banner made, and I paid $800 for a booth. But really, I needed to meet Martha Burkett, and I still learned so much while I was there. But the booth next door had people doing that similar motion, and they okay, anyways, I think I've told the story once on my recent video foray already, but I'm going to tell it again. So they were next door, and they had like lineup upon lineup, all lined up, so many people lined up. I had a few people that actually came to me. I didn't really know how to explain it, and some people still chose. I think I charged $40 or something, or 20, can't remember. It was an experiment. I just thought, okay, let me see what I can do. And I don't think I did any harm. I can tell you that. Yeah, I listened to Goldman Harmony, Holy Harmony was listening in my ears, and I would just put my hands on the person and just allow, like just listening to that music and imagining that they can heal themselves. Kind of thing. Like, I know, it's like, oh, I didn't even know how to describe it. But anyway, so next door, they were lined up because they had a little machine that could show you a picture of color. Look at your aura. And then we're going to do these energy things. And they would get up. They were like this. This is my Wonder Woman belt. The first time I've ever worn this belt, I bought it in November 2012 on a day pass. My friend took me shopping at West Edmonton Mall, and it was very overwhelming. And I did buy this belt. And today's the first time I've ever worn it. It's meant to be worn like this, but I thought it was kind of Wonder Woman-y, and I wanted to hold my sweater so I'd stay warmer. But anyway, so they would be doing this thing. My rebounder. They'd be kind of going like, and they would look really dramatic, and they were doing kind of things like this. And I looked at that and went, holy shit, I think these people are sucking the energy out of the people. Like the practitioners are pulling the energy out. So they're moving energy, yes. And I thought to myself, that's helping the practitioner more than the patient. That's what I thought. And I just sort of kept it to myself, went, that looks weird. And I noticed that they were just bustling. They had lineups upon lineups. People wanted to see their picture before and after. And I didn't pay too much attention, and I didn't personally line up. But in the process of being there, I talked to many people, and one particular guy was really interesting. And he and his wife were asking, and I kind of could see I was very bumbly about it. So anyways, we had a discussion, and we just had a connection and had a nice discussion. And then I guess he and his wife, they were carrying on, and then he came back on his own. He goes, I had to come back and talk to you because I wanted to let you know. And I really loved hearing this, I have to be honest. I don't know. He said, you're the most authentic person in this room. And I'm like, what? What? And he said, yeah, I had a near-death experience at whatever age, and I see energy and I see auras. And he said, you're the best. Or I don't know, the best or the most authentic. He said that. He said, you're the most authentic person here. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I said, hey, what do you see over there? Because I had already had this idea, this little theory in my head. And then I told him my theory, and he goes, oh, absolutely, you're right. That's what's happening. So these people are lining up to go to the facilitator. They're moving energy. But again, primum non nocere, like if you don't know what you're doing, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I did that once, but I didn't want to do it a second time. I got kind of nudged and pushed, and I thought, well, you got to try new things, right? And I really didn't want to harm anybody, that's for sure. And I know that I didn't. Let me just double check that. I haven't ever thought to look back. Let's look back at October 2015. Was anybody harmed by having a session, that little mini session with me? Because they would lay on Katrina lent me a yoga or whatever table, like massage table. Yeah, so I didn't have to do anything except for I got the banner made. Bovera optimization. That's what I called it. Beautiful Truth optimization. Oh my God, it's making me laugh just thinking about that. The things you do. I guess I was a bit brazen doing that. And even my mentor said, you can't do trance me. Like I kind of put myself in a trance to be able to give some energy or let energy come through to the person. Okay, is that what I did? Like, were they helped? I get that they were, but I had no confidence in it. But at the same time, I thought, if someone's going to give me, I honestly can't remember if it was $20 or $40. It wasn't a lot of money. And I think I had 4 people pay, and one person, then I really learned about skeptic. Oopsie. I learned about skepticism because it was a lady, what was she? She was of Indian descent, and she would have been, maybe in her 60s. And she came and she was really like demanding, what? Well, give me a free, like kind of that attitude. Well, give me a free session. Will you give me I'll do a free session. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And then, okay, let's look back to that specific lady. Did she receive any benefit? She did. Because I had sort of felt like, boy, if someone's that skeptic, they're not going to get it. But actually, it's not about skeptic. All I was doing was being a channel for energy. Did she ever recognize that as being helpful? No, she didn't. So I thought, futile work. We're not doing that. It's just, yeah, that's no fun. That's no fun. I only do things that I enjoy and are fun and charge me up. So, this is getting long. 128. Oh my darlings. I just thought I could get through to a certain level. Let's see, what else I don't think I have very much left, but I think we're going to leave that one now. Doop, doop, doo, doo. Oh yeah, like look at that. That actually, the frontier awaits. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. New series. Live long and prosper. Catch the Starfleet boots on screen, outfitting the Starfleet officers of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds on Paramount. Yes, so this, I believe, is all I wanted to share. Yes, and actually this belongs on my, because I was going to do it in one video, but sure enough, this is an hour and a half. So this is the Crazy Wise. Oops, let me get off screen share. Crazy Wise, my video called Crazy Wise. And I'm going to be signing off right away here, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to start a second video, which is going to be called Wicked Good, where I will be talking about Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Subspace Rhapsody. And that'll be way more fun. So actually, I'm going to go take a break, and you'll be seeing the second one in a different video. Signing off, January 1st, 2025, and the time is 19:04. So there we go, my friends. I'll be right back.